I'm going to continue my mother's story.
Mm-hmm.
Just refresh the memory. Last week, we talked my mother tried to helping people, never asking anything to return. So another things I want to talk about the story was during the Cultural Revolution. So, everybody, our neighbors, myself, during the Cultural Revolution, and my generation, we all want to be mouse children, so which was a soldier and fight and revolutionary. So never want to be a person like my mother because she's so gentle and so nice to everybody, love her family, love her children, loyal to her husband, that kind of traditional and Chinese value. And when the Cultural Revolution happened, that time I was 13 years old, and they just, I talk about before, my father, and he owned a company, and they're making those teaching equipment, modules for the medical school. And so they took away everything, and they coming to my house, make me to denounce him and my mother, everything else. So he was under tremendous stress, of course. And so he used to have the ulcer, so had the bleeding, cannot stop. So sent to the hospital. But that time, I tell you, in the hospital, and they put all the surgeon and say they are not good, they are not the correct class, and the people can trust. So make a surgeon to clean the bathroom, and janitor. Make a janitor to be a surgeon. Unbelievable, So lots of medical accidents because they don't know what to do. So they had to ask the nurse or whatever to helping them, but still lots of people die during the surgery or after surgery. And then another thing, because my father is a class enemy, so during the surgery, the surgeon, very lucky, and that time on that week, and that janitor surgeon was sick, didn't come to the hospital. We didn't know about it. And then they had to get a person which was working also in clean the hospital or whatever, and pull him out. He was a surgeon before. He was an army surgeon. And then because his father also the class enemy, so he kicked out from army. So just very lucky. So he gonna operate now my father. And then he said that he probably need a blood transfusion because he lost a lot of blood, and during the surgery maybe more, so he needed. So there is a rule in the hospital during the cultural. Class enemy cannot have blood transfusion. They're not gonna give blood to class enemy. That's it. So he said that, that's the only thing you had to found your own source, for instance, family. But they had to be the, same type of blood, right? So my mother was type A, my father type O. So she cannot give it to him. And then I'm a type O, but they look at me, they say, oh, you too small and you too young, you're so weak, you're only 13 years old, we cannot take your blood, it's not enough, So what are we going to do? So the surgeon said you had to have a blood ready because otherwise, he probably going to pass out, pass away and during the surgery. And so we don't know what to do. So I'm talking about that time I realized, my mother is very strong. Because, when chips down, you will see the person, whether she courageous to do something or to think about to do something. So she said that, the only way is, he said, I'm going to take you with me and go to the place my father worked and talk to the Revolution Committee and see maybe if we just try, maybe they will call the hospital, tell them to make exceptions. So, what else we can do? So my mother said, I'm going to go. I'm going to go there. I'm going to tell them. I'm not begging them, whatever it is. I just tell the story and tell the truth and see maybe somebody will help. I know she probably prayed God, And so we go there and then we start. Good thing is that, in this committee, some people, they were older workers. And actually, that time my father hired them, So they know my father because he always very nice to them and give a good salary, everything. And but the new ones come out, which was in charge, is a revolutionary, rebelling, they call it. And those people, and the thing is, we got there that morning, and the guy in charge, a young guy, was a rebelling group, leader of the rebelling group, is not there. So it's a chance, So mother just tell what's happening, and she didn't cry. I was surprised. I saw that she's gonna go there to cry and begging, so they maybe, feel sorry for her. She's not. She's just telling what's happened, and she said that, well, if the hospital call, because the good thing is the surgeon was very sympathetic, and he probably will not to write it down, about this, my father's social status, which was a class enemy. So the hospital will they try to find a blood bank and to matching or something, but they need, and my father's work unit, they call work unit, the company, somebody, the revolutionary committee, to have a letter say that. And so the guy was very much hesitant. They say, well, what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a letter. Oh, I'm not. And then he said, well, but you look at it, was a good chance because the guy was not there. Probably going to come back a couple of days later. They have some meeting in other place. So he think, well, maybe I write a letter and then and call the hospital and mail the letter. They had to put the seal on it. And then if nobody mentioned that, so they were just okay. So he decided to take a chance, to take a risk, actually. But it's very nice, because that time, in China, during the Cultural Revolution, they just wanted people to fight each other and to betray each other, just against you're talking about CCP, why I think they are evil, and because that they against all the humanities, whatever good things in the human face, and they against. So the trust is the most important thing, and so they just make everybody, I don't trust anybody, and then you generate the hate and to harm somebody, like you gotta be harmed. Somebody reported you, turn you in, and then you report more, 2 or 3, whatever, That's happened to so many families. Unbelievable. And then the reaction to that is, if you're in a family, it's a loving relationship, and if someone you trust, or whole your life you trust, betrayed you, you know what's happened? So your emotion and your spiritual war was corrupt, because no one you can trust. So it's just like that. So my father is very lucky. So it was a lucky moment to have that real surgeon. And also he experienced the same kind of situation because his father was a class enemy. And so they kicked him out of the army. And then on that moment, my mother got there with me and to asking for the letter to permit to have a blood transfusion. And that moment, that evil, the rebelling head was not the leader, is not there. So I don't know. It's a miracle.
Lucky all the way around.
Yeah, I just all the way. I think it's something, and God want him to live. That's how maybe my mother's prayer be answered, right? Because my mother, but she never pray, never make a sing or whatever it is. I think her prayer is very sincere. So, over there, I think. Be answered.
So what happened?
What happened is that they got hospital, and because he was bleeding for a couple of days, just non-stopping, he's gonna die. Lots of blood loss. So just about a couple of hours more if you don't do surgery, don't do anything, So just on time. So they immediately, the nurse in the blood bank was very nice to immediately get to finding the matching the blood. So everything ready to have the surgery. And that was a big surgery. They took 2/3 of a stomach,
Wow.
Yeah, because, that seems like that. And then he survived, live until 91 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's something. But that also showed my mother, she didn't give up. She didn't give up. Most of us say, well, cannot do it. What can you do? Just wait to die and cry. So that's why I think she's strong.
Yeah.
And chips down. She will figure out what to do. And then, I don't know, she has something, some kind of strain, inner strain or whatever it is, it was touch people.
Mm-hmm.
They will listen and they will do. She requests. I don't know, just
I have
happened.
to ask the other logical question from your story. The guy who signed the paper in the absence of the rebellion guy who wasn't there, any problems with
afterwards?
Yeah.
Afterwards, I think he was very smart, and he hid everything in a bunch of documents, so they not really, can find that. Another thing is, I think because my father was very nice to people, so nobody talk about that. So if only one person say, "Oh, I'm a reporter," some bad people, so nobody talk about it. So it's like a buried. They don't even asking for that.